Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another great episode of the Van Buren Variety Show. I am Bob Van Buren, your host. Very glad you're here. Not only to the people that tune in week after week that's followed me from the beginning, but I want to say a special welcome to our newcomers. I've had quite a number of new subscribers over the past week, new audience members that have let me know they're tuning in. So welcome, everybody, whether you've been here for a while or you're new. I'm glad you're here and to see what else is on the agenda today. Just a reminder, those of you that are tuning in that haven't done it yet, you want to hit that subscribe button. Before you do, I know you want to know all about the channel in case you haven't tuned in before. Van Buren Variety is exactly what it sounds like. It's a variety show. Every week, I have an individual guest to talk about a different topic. It could be the person's interesting hobby, or maybe they just have a special interest, something that they are interested in or like to research. It could be their profession, an interesting profession, or maybe they've written a book, or maybe they went on a big adventure somewhere, had something really exciting happen while they were vacationing or researching anything. Might even have some musical guests coming up. I've had to have some musical guests coming up, and I'm sure we'll have some more soon. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, because by hitting the subscribe button, you will get alerts when this show is on. Normally, I do a live show every Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. Central Time. That is 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So, but if you missed the live show, hey, don't panic. These shows are always archived. So when you go to the Van Buren Variety channel, click on the videos tab, and then you'll see all the episodes that I've done so far. This is actually episode 71. So I'm very, very happy that I've done it this long. I've learned a lot of things from the new guests that I've had on and the interesting subjects that they brought on the table. So hope you've learned a lot as much as I have. It's been a fun ride, and hope to do a lot more. So anyway, welcome to those that have tuned in week after week, and welcome to the new people as well. So we're glad you're here. Hope you've all had a great week so far. I have got something I want to share with y'all. And especially us older folks will probably appreciate this. I'm going to show you something first, okay? Looks like an ordinary block of wood, right? Doesn't seem like there's anything unusual about that. But there is a logo on the back side. So take a look at this, and what you do with it. Yeah, this is a joke, and there's a punchline coming. So be ready, and don't tune off if you don't like it. What you do is you put this block of wood in the middle of your living room, an empty room, a kitchen, wherever, but you just set it on the floor, like so, with the label up. And so, why would you do that? So let me show you what the label says. It's called an exercise block. What you do is number one, you place the block on the floor. Number two, you walk around it twice. Number three, you sit down and relax and congratulate yourself. You have just walked around the block twice. Yeah, so, yeah, okay. I need some secret laughter. I can't hear y'all, but I know y'all are just roaring with laughter right now. So get one of these, and that way you can tell people and impress them that you walked around the block twice. So my uncle made this. So I wonder if he's trying to tell me something about my age. But anyway, I thought it was kind of funny. Wanted to share it, so I hope I didn't lose any audience members over that. Also, want to let you know we did have a guest tonight, but those of you that do webcast yourself or have a podcast, and even those that you just watch podcasts and a webcast, you know that life gets in the way. So unfortunately, I do not have a guest tonight. We will reschedule. Baby, don't tune off. We're still going to have a show tonight. I've got an interesting topic that I want to follow up with everybody a few weeks ago that I didn't get to finish. So hopefully tonight I can do a part 2 of that discussion that we had weeks ago. And so we'll get through it. And I'm also going to have a link for those of you that are watching this show live right now, which is on Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. I'll post a link so anybody that wants to come in, join the show, talk about whatever you want to talk about. I'll have that up there in a few minutes. So stay tuned for that. So anyway, apologize for not having the guest, but we're going to get through it. One of the things that I have been doing lately, it's been very interesting, is I have looked back on the history of the Academy Awards. Specifically, I've looked at what picture won the Academy Awards for Best Picture for ever how long the Academy Awards have gone on. So I did my research, and the Academy Awards have been going on since 1929. So what I did is I created a spreadsheet listing every movie that won Best Picture since 1929. And I've been watching them. Not all at once, obviously, that'd take too long, but I've been kind of going in order. I started in 1929, and I'm actually up to 1960 now. And some of the movies that won Best Picture, I agreed with. I thought, yeah, it's a great picture, thumbs up, you know. There were some, in my opinion, and I'm not questioning the Academy. They know a lot more about movies than I do, but there were some movies myself that thought, how did that picture even get nominated, much less win Best Picture? So there were a few of them that I've disagreed with, but most of them, unfortunately, as movies grow older and older, people forget about them. You know, they show the new stuff, which new stuff is great. Not taking that away, but unfortunately, the older movies get buried over time. And there were movies that I had never even heard of, and now I love them. And but I'm up to 1960 now, so I've covered the last of the 1920s, 1930s, 1940s, 1950s, and so we're getting more in the 60s, and of course in the 70s and the 80s. And like I said, it's been an interesting. Well, if I'd call that a hobby, but I love it. It's been pretty fun. I usually watch about one a week, so it'll take me a while to get up to the new one. So I'll just review. No, I won't give the full reviews that I did in my first show, because I've already covered from 29 to 35. And I'll say it really quick if I liked them. And again, I'm not questioning the Academy. I will just simply give a thumbs up or a thumbs down if I liked it, not questioning whether or not the Academy should have won, had it won or not. So with that, let's go. 1929 was Wings. Yes, I'll say a thumbs up on that one. 1930, and remember, I'll say it again, all the movies I'm going to show you won Best Picture for that year. Okay? Broadway Melody, yeah, I would say thumbs up. All Quiet on the Western Front was 1931. Yeah, thumbs up. This is my first thumbs down. Best Picture of 1932 was Cimarron. It wasn't the actors, and it wasn't the direction. I just didn't like the storyline, and you can see from a previous episode that I had what was wrong with the storyline. It was the story itself that I thought was kind of awkward. 1933, the comedy Grand Hotel. That was thumbs up. I liked that. Cavalcade, 1934, Best Picture. I liked that one. That was a good comedy here. 1935 was It Happened One Night. This one was really intense, and I'm sure you've either read the book or you've at least heard of the movie, Mutiny on the Bounty. And Charles Laughton did a great job as the Captain Bligh. He was notoriously bad in this movie, but I can see why it won Best Picture. So that's the first movies that I've done that I have reviewed. And it's been an interesting ride. I mean, like I said, there's so many movies I wish they hadn't been buried over time. But, luckily I got this list of Best Picture, and so there's been some good movies that I've seen. So now we're up to 1937. Again, I'm only up to 1960. So I'll just give you a brief review of some of these films. And I'm also going to put the link to my show in the comment section. So if anybody would just like to log in and talk about anything you want to, I guess you could say, what is it, Open Line Tuesday? So I will have a guest next week. And again, don't hold it up against my guest that I had. Things happen, and when you're doing a live show, there's no way you can control life. So we'll get through it. Let's see. So 1937, and I really like this movie, and it's more of a musical. And usually I don't like musicals, but I liked this one. It was 1937, and that's based on a real person. Ziegfield was a real director. I think they've dramatized his life in this, but it has a lot of great acts in that. you got to remember this is the 1930s. So a lot of the things in there were really good. One thing I didn't like about the show, they had a singer there, and her name was Fanny Bryce, and she was a singer in real life. But if I was her, I wouldn't have done that show. I mean, they kind of made her feel like she was homely and an outcast, and maybe that really, really happened. But I'm like, really? She's doing her best. Maybe you shouldn't pick on her like that. But I would highly recommend Great Ziegfield. If you like music from the 30s and to see how Hollywood and stage was back then, I'll give that a thumbs up as well. Then we move on to 1938. Best Picture was The Life of Emile Zola. And basically, this movie is about a guy who is a journalist. And the government doesn't want them or him reporting on their activities. Where have we heard that before? A government not wanting a journalist to tell the public the truth. Why does that sound so familiar? Do y'all think that sounds familiar? This was 1938, but this was even back then. But this guy, I hope I'm saying his name right, Emile Zola, was determined to get the truth out. Pardon the expression, come hell or high water, whether the politicians wanted it or not. And won't give away the ending, but it's kind of an eye-opener. And I can see why it won Best Picture in 1938. So, again, I will give that one a thumbs up as well. The Best Picture of 1939 was Frank Capra's You Can't Take It With You. And I have a little vested interest in this movie because long before I saw the movie, I was in community theater. And we put on this play, You Can't Take It With You. And it is a hilarious show. So if you get a chance to see the live play, check out your community theaters. It's better to see it live, but the movie is not a disappointment as well. It's very good, and it has a lesson in there too. The title, You Can't Take It With You. In other words, riches and property and whatever physical things that you have on this earth while you're here mean nothing. And so the theme of the show, without giving any plot points away, is just you need to enjoy life while you are here. Make a difference. You can make a difference in somebody's life. And again, one of the characters is a really rich person, all business, no fun. Rat race, get through life. And he's pretty much taught a lesson at the very end of the show. Again, it's called You Can't Take It With You. It's about an eccentric family versus a rich, snobby, uppity family. The two characters you see in the top of that poster, she belongs to the eccentric family. He is with the Ritchie family. And so you can imagine the two families colliding when they get engaged. So, but yeah, it's very funny. It's very, very funny. So again, thumbs up with that one as well. Now here's a movie I think we're all going to recognize. Yes, Gone with the Wind. And I realize as of the last few years that's a very controversial film, but it doesn't take away that it was and still is a great film about the war between the states. Clark Gable and Vivian Leigh, they all did a good job. And so it was one of the few movies that was in color in 1939. And so it was widescreen, and I'm sure the audiences back then were pretty much enamored. And great production, and I can't say enough about it. I think most everybody has seen this movie, or at least you've read the book. I really, really enjoyed it. I watched it from beginning to end. It's a long movie for those of you that have not seen it. Even on when you rent the film, whether through Amazon or Netflix, there will be an intermission in between. And so, so get ready to sit there for a very long, long, long time. But very, very good. Very well put together. And I give Gone with the Wind a thumbs up on that one. This one I was surprised that it won Best Picture of 1940, I believe. And this is a Hitchcock movie. And to not give anything away, but you know how Alfred Hitchcock's mind works, right? You expect the unexpected. Well, I won't give the plot points away, but I will say this. The name of the movie is Rebecca. But in this movie, you never see Rebecca. As she is a character in this movie, but you will never see her and you will never hear her voice. That does that intrigue you? How can it be called Rebecca when you never see her and you never hear her? So those of you that have seen it know exactly what I'm talking about. But it's very good. Um, it's pretty much a man who was married to Rebecca, and Rebecca is not seen anymore, but now he's remarried, and that's where the plot thickens. Um, I will say this: the maids, some of the house servants that were in this mansion where Rebecca lived, do not accept the second wife very easily. And so there are twists and turns, and it's classic Alfred Hitchcock. Um, I'm not saying the movie doesn't deserve the Best Picture award, but I'm surprised that it won when there were a lot of other good movies like that. But regardless, I give that a thumbs up. It was Best Picture of 1940. So if you like Hitchcock, you'll like Rebecca. And so I highly, highly, highly recommend it. Now we move on to 1941. And this one, I had heard of this movie, but I had never seen it. I had no idea what it was about, the plot points, and this one will really tug at your heart. This one, like I said, I'm being very careful to not give away plot points for those that haven't seen it, but these men work in a coal mine. And as you know, coal mines is not a very easy job to have. And how it takes a toll on the family, a strike, um, a lot. There is some tragedy, of course, not just coal mine related, but other ways. And so, yeah, it was. I can see why that won Best Picture. It's a great drama, and I think you really enjoy it. Especially, there's a very, very young Roddy McDowall in this movie, the actor who later on played, Planet of the Apes, among many other movies. But he's like a kid in this movie, and it was very good, very drama. Again, it is a drama slash tragedy. So you might want to keep those Kleenex boxes handy. So it's really good, and yeah, you really feel for the guys that's working in this coal mine because it's unfortunately I can say a thankless job. These guys go through everything, and then management and owners, they really don't see their efforts or really care if anything happens to them. So How Green Was My Valley, I think, is a great film, and again, I give that a thumbs up as well. So let me check out the comments real quick. I'll let you look at this and see who's online and what we can do. This one, I will show this before I check the comments out. I had never heard of this movie before, but it won Best Picture of 1942, Mrs. Miniver. A great film. And this one kind of was not your usual film, I guess you would say. It takes place in World War II, but it's in England when this happens. There was a scene that was cut from this movie, because you got to remember, this is 1940s, so they still had censorship. I can tell you this, I won't give away a plot point away because they cut this scene. There's a scene where a Nazi soldier burst in this room, and I guess it's Mrs. Miniver, and well, there's no better way to say it. He sexually assaults her. I don't know if it was in the book like that, but they actually, I don't know if they filmed the scene or were going to film it, but the censors said, no, 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 you're not filming that. So there is a Nazi soldier, but they've toned that down a lot. Actually, it would have shown you just how evil the Nazis were if they left it in. But yeah, it is about World War II. It does have a sad ending, but hope. Mrs. Miniver is this woman. She's this housewife, but she I would say, runs the family. She is not bossy by any means, but she is kind of the matriarch. And there is a little old man in the film, which fits into the plot. He admires her so much that he grows this rose, this one-of-a-kind rose, and he actually names it Mrs. Miniver. The rose is named after her, which later on plays into the film. That's kind of a tug at your heartstrings too. So yeah, I have to say, and I'm guilty just as anybody, I have never heard of these films, and they won Best Picture. Um, so yeah, I would highly recommend. I don't know if you want to do what I did, but just check some of these out. Go under Best Academy Award Best Pictures and see what you see. You might see some films that you've never heard of, like I did. And so, Mrs. Miniver, I would give that a thumbs up as well. Now, this one I think everybody's heard of. If you haven't seen it, you probably heard it, but it won Best Picture of 1943. It was called Casablanca, and everybody should know who Humphrey Bogart is. That was Best Picture of 1943, and it very good. You have spies, you have, double dealings, double crossings, and yeah, I can't say enough good about this film. If I say anything else, I'll give away some plot points. But Humphrey Bogart. What's his famous line in there? What was that? Oh, here's looking at you, kid. And that's in there. So it's classic Humphrey Bogart, Ingrid Bergman's. And again, if you like double dealing, double crossing, spies, even, I think you'll like this film. If you haven't seen it already, I really liked it. It's kind of I wouldn't say a suspense, but it is edge of your seat a few times. So I think you'll really, really, really like that film. I give Casablanca a thumbs up. Now we move on to, let's see, where are we? 1945. This one was really good. This guy, it's called The Lost Weekend for a reason. He's a writer, but he's also an alcoholic. And it pretty much shows, because of his addiction, strained relations, but not only strained relations with his the lady that he's been dating, but also his family. It just all gets in the way, and it does have a climactic ending. I will not give it away what it is. You'll have to watch it yourself. But yeah, you feel for the guy. He's not the bad guy. He just has an addiction. He does some very, very bad things. He lies even to his I guess you could say fiance. And you don't like the things he does, but the way it was written, you feel sorry for the guy. You think, you almost want to knock the glass out of his hand that has alcohol in it. But yeah, it was very well written. I have to say, yeah, thumbs up on this one. And I can see why the Academy gave it Best Picture of 1945. So it's a good drama. Yeah, it shows you the real struggles of an alcoholic, and then how he has opportunities. He has a great fiance. He's got a great career, and it's just the alcohol gets in the way, and he can't help himself. And fortunately, I don't think his family in the show really helped him a whole lot. I think they just pretty much dismissed him, blamed it on him. Pretty much told him, you can snap at it if you want to. Not in their words. Well, sometimes you can't snap out of it. So Lost Weekend, yeah, if you like a good drama and you were trying to really feel sorry for the character, then yeah, I would say thumbs up to Lost Weekend. I think you'd really, really enjoy that. This one I wasn't too sure about, that if I would enjoy this movie or not, because it won Best Picture of 1946, but I actually did like it. It's pretty lighthearted. It's called Going My Way with Bing Crosby. Bing Crosby in this is Catholic priest, and he becomes, he is part of this new church, and under the guidance of this very, very strict priest who's also there. But it's very, very lighthearted. Bing Crosby, you figure it's going to be lighthearted with Bing Crosby. I never pictured him as a priest, though, until I saw this movie. But it's really, really good. I mean, he helps a lot of young boys out. I guess they're orphans. And gives them a new start in life and tries to be their role model, which he does. But it wasn't intentionally funny. But the guy that plays, Barry Fitzgerald, who plays the older, no-nonsense priest, I think if you look at that poster, he's in the lower right-hand side of the poster. The man with the scowl. Yeah, that is Barry Fitzgerald. But he doesn't mean to be funny, but because he's so strict, he doesn't see the sense of humor or anything, or the point of any kind of levity. But the more kind of funny that it is, I guess you could say he's the straight man in that film. And I think it's hilarious. So I highly recommend Going My Way. There's actually a sequel to this film. I've not seen it yet. Don't know if I will. I want to finish my Academy Award Best Picture movies first. And so I might go and get it, but it's a good feel good movie. It's safe for the whole family. I think that you'll really really like it. Um, so now this one was really really good. It's kind of a tragedy in a way. It's called The Best Years of Our Lives. It's about three brothers that go to war. In fact, let me pull up the details right now because this one was quite a long movie, and so let me. I don't want to do. I want to do justice to the movie. So let's see. But it's about three brothers. They all go on the service, and actually, I take that back. It's a 1946 drama, but it's very very good. It's three veterans from different parts of the military, and they all meet on a return flight on the way back from World War II. One of them, though, lost his hands in the war. And you know what? But they didn't have the CGI and the special effects that they have today. I applaud the movie production people because they actually hired a man who was a veteran that did lose his hands. I don't know if he lost it in the war, but he really did not have any hands. And it shows you in the film how people, even his own fiance, treated him, quote, differently. And you feel sorry for the guy. It's not his fault, but that his family could not accept the fact that he had lost his limbs. And people, just even his fiance, just like she was almost embarrassed to be with him. And I was just like, really? The guy's a hero. He can't he can't help that he lost his hands in the war. But they did hire an actual actor that did not have any hands. And so, but it's really good because it's not so much a war picture as it shows veterans what they have to deal with when they get home. There's some that do have an alcohol problem. There's some that have other issues. So, it tells you the story pretty much is the war is hell. The war doesn't stop for some people just because they come home. And so that one is a really good film. You follow the lives of all three of these guys, three brothers. And I highly recommend it, especially the guy, and I don't remember the actor's name, but he really did not have any hands, and he played that part beautifully because you realize there's no CGI, it's not special effects, but he also knocked the acting out of the ballpark because he actually showed you kind of how some veterans face discrimination, unfortunately, and yeah, some of those people in the movie, the family and the fiance, like, you know what? You want to slap them sometime. Like, okay, he doesn't have hands, and your problem is what, So, but anyway, the Best Years of Our Lives, thumbs up. Now, this next film, I hope nobody's watched this film and really liked it. This is one of the films that I did not like that was on the list. It won Best Picture of 1948. I didn't like it, but I'll explain what the problem I had with it. This was called The Gentleman's Agreement. There was a lot of things they could have done with this film, but unfortunately it did not get the point across. Basically, it's a movie about anti-Semitism. And you can see the direction the movie that was going, but the movie never really brought it across. It almost like it just dropped in little, for lack of a better word, breadcrumbs. It kind of hinted that the guy was going through discrimination because he was Jewish, but it didn't just actually put it out there. You almost had to read between the lines. And so I thought the story itself, now Gregory Peck, Dorothy McGuire, and John Garfield did an excellent job acting. The direction was great. The costumes were good. But the storyline, I think they should have, in my opinion, it could have packed a punch to show you how discrimination works and how it affects people. But I don't know why, but it's almost like they had the reins pulled in. They didn't want to give away too much. I'm like, but, if that was the point to show about anti-Semitism, it did miss the mark. And so, unfortunately, not because of the acting or the direction, but just the story itself, I have to give that a thumbs down. Don't hate if you liked that movie. I just felt like it should have been a lot more than what it was. It should have really, really just put it out there in plain English. This is what's going on. This is what this is. And that's the one movie. I really don't like remakes, but I hope sometimes Hollywood remakes this movie if they're watching. Gentleman's agreement, because today's time you can't put that in people's faces, and I think they'll get it. So yeah, it had potential, but for whatever reason they did not put it out there in plain English. It was only mentioned subliminally. You had to just use your own imagination. Oh, this is what's happening and why they're doing that. So yeah, so sorry for those that liked it. And I'm not questioning the Academy. I personally didn't like the film. This next one, though, I had never heard of this movie before, but it is great, and it talks about dirty politics. Is that an oxymoron? Dirty politics. Did those go together or no? But I won't go any further with that. It's called All the King's Men. And to sum it up, it's about a man who goes into politics, and he at first is very honest. He wants to be for the people, to represent the people. He refuses to do anything dishonest. He doesn't want to get into the Washington game or the Washington corruption. However, when he gets into the office, this office that he's in, corruption finally seeps into his life. And once it seeps into his life, it's no stopping. He forgets all about some of the people that he represents, the people that got him there in the first place, and he becomes extremely, very, very power hungry. There's some scandal that goes on. I mean, I'm telling basic news today, right? But I won't give away the ending, but it'll just pretty much tell you how, politics can corrupt the most honest man. Because this guy started out as very honest in the movie, wanted to do the right thing. But it showed how, I guess you could say, lobbyist, special interest can finally get into the picture. And when that happens, I mean, family and voters, to be blunt, be damned. And so I would recommend All the King's Men. And what I like about this movie, it talks about, dirty politics, but I like the fact that it never brought up political parties. There's no reference to like Democrats, Republicans, Independents, which is good, because this tells you it could happen to anybody of any party, liberal, conservative. So they kept partisan politics out of the picture. They were just showing a small town guy, honest guy that wanted to do the right thing, and unfortunately, lobbyists and basic corruption got the best of him. So I highly recommend All the King's Men. And this is one of the movies I never heard of before. Let me ask you, my audience that's watching this live, have you ever either A, heard of this film, or even B, have you even seen this film? But if you haven't seen it, I would recommend it, and because it'll really tell you all about the seedy side of politics, as if we don't have enough of that already. But anyway, the movie is good, so I'll give it a thumbs up. Here's another movie I never heard of. Again, this research, I have this whole spreadsheet in front of me, movies from 29 to 2022, and that won Best Picture. And unfortunately, they've been lost, but it's been a new adventure for me. All About Eve, and there's Bette Davis right there. And normally, Bette Davis plays, I won't say the evil part, but she's not very likable in a lot of her films. I mean, one thing that comes to mind is Whatever Happened to Baby Jane was one film. But she's actually the innocent in this. She's not the go-getter or the ladies' man or stab in the back person. Basically, this movie, All About Eve, and by the way, I'm going to tell you again, it won Best Picture of 1950, is where we are right now. She, in this movie, plays a movie star, another named movie star. And the woman behind her is an obsessed fan. She follows her everywhere. She even got into her dressing room one time. I mean, she was invited at first. But as you watch the film, but Bette Davis's character doesn't see this till it's almost too late. This woman is pretty much taking over her life. She can't do anything. Bette Davis, her character, can't even turn around without this woman right there. I mean, she's there everywhere, even taking over some of her roles. And so you kind of on the edge of your seat And so if you haven't seen All About Eve, I would highly, highly recommend it. So it's one of those, it's almost like if I can say, a stalking picture. I mean, this woman just, not only does she get involved with her life, she takes over almost her life, her career, even her movie career. So you don't know where it's going. So now the next movie was okay. Now I'm not, again, a fan of musicals. I like musicals. I watch musicals, but I'm not really a fan. But this one was okay. It was a good time feeler. It was called An American in Paris. And I apologize for the noise in the background. It's one of the things you're supposed to do for a live show. You're supposed to put the cat up. And she will not let me go. So, sorry about that. American in Paris with Gene Kelly. It was okay for a musical. I liked it. It had a good storyline. But, again, I'm not a fan of musicals, so I'm probably not the best judge on this. And so, if you like musicals, great. It's okay. Pretty much it's he is in love with this one woman, but she already has a boyfriend. And he and the boyfriend kind of know each other, but he's trying to, I guess you could say, woo his friend's girlfriend. But it's great. Obviously it takes place in Paris, and it's a good show. It's okay. There's a lot of good dancing in it, and Gene Kelly did a great job. So if it's a good time feeler, I'll give it a thumbs up for sure. The next one, which was the Best Picture of 1952, I really liked because, unfortunately circuses aren't as populous as they were. But if you want to watch a movie where you feel like you're in the circus, you're watching it and also watching it behind the scenes, then I would watch this movie. And I've heard of it, never seen it. It's called The Greatest Show on Earth. Best Picture of 1952. I had never, ever, ever heard of that. And it was really good. There is a subplot behind it. I will say this much. There's a guy that's hiding from the law. But you kind of feel sorry for the guy because he was, I won't say he was framed, but I don't want to give anything away, but he's hiding from the law. And you are always wondering if he's going to stay hidden, because he's actually a clown in the movie. It's actually James Stewart. If you know who the actor James Stewart is, it's him that plays the clown. And you're always wondering, he's just one step away from being discovered. Not only from the law, but from the people that's also associated with the circus. Yeah, and it's very good. And there is a tragedy in there, but everybody gets over it. But it's a long movie. But I like it because it actually is the circus. It shows like Barnum and Bailey. And you get a good scene of being in the audience, and you also get a good scene of being behind the scenes. So, well, I would say, yeah, for sure. This one I'd heard of. Now we're almost at the end here, because I've only went to the 50s, and where are we at? 1953. And I'm sure we've all heard of this movie. If you haven't seen it already, I would highly, highly recommend it. It's called From Here to Eternity. And it pretty much takes place right around the time, and actually covers Pearl Harbor. That's how far back it goes. It stars Burt Lancaster, of course, and Montgomery Clift is in it as well. Deborah Kerr, Donna Reed, and actually Frank Sinatra is in it as well. So, but there is some tragedy in there. There's a really, really rough staff sergeant that has it in for Frank Sinatra's character. And I'll put it this way, there's some payback. I'll put it that way. I won't give any plot points away, but yeah, there's definitely some payback among the troops there, or the soldiers there. So, yeah, there's a little plot point, a little extra plot point. But yeah, From Here to Eternity is a very, very good film. They did a very, very good job of that. And what's so suspenseful about it, that it was about to, Pearl Harbor's coming, because they mention it's December 5th, 1941. Then it's December 6th, 1941. Then all of a sudden, hello, good morning, everybody. It's December 7th, 1941. And and for me, I almost want to come through the screen like, gosh, you're about to be attacked. But it's inevitable, the war. And but it had covered it before and then during and then after. But it doesn't cover just the war, but it talks about the struggles of the guys that were in these barracks. I don't think it was based on a true story, but the center point is Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. So I highly, highly recommend it. And I got some more bad news. I'll thumbs up for Here to Eternity. Bad news is I didn't like the Best Picture of 1954. Again, not questioning the Academy. The Academy made their decision. I respect that, but we all have our personal preferences, and I'm always afraid that someone's going to look at me and go, "You didn't like that movie? What's wrong with you?" Well, here it is. Best Picture of 1954 was On the Waterfront with Marlon Brando. And Marlon Brando did a great job. All the people that were in the show did a great job. Great costumes, great direction. I didn't like the storyline. I want to say the storyline was weak, but it didn't really appeal. I'll put it this way. Most of the characters in this movie are not likable at all. I mean, you don't really know, in my opinion, who to root for because everybody has something behind the scenes. I mean, you have to pick, in my opinion, you had to pick between the lesser of two evils. So who do you really want to root for in this movie? I mean, you feel sorry for Marlon Brando sometimes. I mean, there's parts that he kind of got the short end of the stick. But I don't know, I couldn't follow the movie. I actually almost nodded off a few times. And I don't know. I personally didn't care for the movie. And I'm sorry if anybody liked the movie. It's just my opinion. Again, I'm not knocking the Academy for giving this Best Picture, but I wouldn't want to watch it again. So y'all might have a different opinion than I do. This next picture, I was surprised that it won Best Picture. Not that it's a bad movie, but it's not a movie that you would think would win Best Picture. And again, I've never heard of it before. And so the Best Picture of 1955 was a film called Marty. And it has a record right now of all of the movies from 1921 until now in the 21st century. This movie is the shortest movie of all of them. It was like less than an hour and a half that the movie lasted. And it's a great movie. I didn't agree with one of the casting because in the movie they cast Betsy Blair as Ernest, who plays Marty, his girlfriend. But in the movie, they said she's supposed to be, they described the character before they even shown her. One of his friends or somebody said how homely she was, basically how ugly she was, no personality, and you're expecting, or at least I was expecting this really homely, ugly woman to walk on stage. But if you've ever seen Betsy Blair, she might be in the movie plain looking, but she's not at all ugly. So I thought they miscast her. I'm like, man, if that's ugly, then wow. So yeah, I thought that was kind of a miscast because Betsy Blair is not an unattractive actress, but all through the movie, even these Marty's friends in this movie talking about how homely she is, how plain she is, how she's not the right girl for him, blah blah blah. I'm like, I don't know where you guys are seeing ugly at. But Marty's a great movie. It's about a man in his mid-30s who still lives with his mom. I think he's supporting her. He's always been unlucky in love until he meets Betsy Blair's character. And all his friends, his buddies, are trying to break him up. They want their buddy back. And even his mom is even trying to turn Marty against her. But he has to fight everybody. Like, he loves her. He don't care what she looks like. But again, I don't see why they thought she was ugly in that movie. She's not. So, yeah, if it was me, and of course real life, I tell my buddy, hey, bug off. I don't care. If y'all don't like her, you don't like the way she looks, she's my lady, go away, Which I won't give any plot points away, but there is a part where Marty has had enough. So, it's kind of a comedy. It has more serious parts in it than it, but it's kind of a comedy drama. And I can see why it won Best Picture. You can see it won 4 Academy Awards. Highly recommend it. Best Picture 1955. Oh, how many? We got 3 more before we're through with the 50s. This one, I was kind of disappointed in it because I guess I've seen the movie poster for this a lot, and I thought the entire movie was supposed to take place in a hot air balloon. It does not. Best Picture in 1956 was Around the World in 80 Days, and maybe the movie poster kind of led me astray because when I saw that hot air balloon, I thought, oh, they're going to go around the whole world in a hot air balloon. But I don't know if anybody else thought that, but they don't. They do have a hot air balloon, but it's not only a hot air balloon. They have boats. They have horse and carriage. Um, there's a big bet. I'll put it this way: in England, where this starts, where he bets the main actor here, bets a group of other men that he can go around the world in 80 days, and they bet that he can't. And again, all kinds of obstacles on the way. There's even like a little subplot there where him and his partner get split up, quite intentionally too. There's kind of a villain there that's trying to spoil their plans. He follows them. They don't realize he's trying to cause damage, but he's definitely trying to make them lose the bet. So they have to stay kind of one step ahead of him because they don't realize what's going on. But Around the World in 80 Days was a good movie. It is a long movie. Most of these movies really are, but don't be disappointed like I was. I'm not disappointed now, but I thought the whole thing took place in a hot air balloon. That's based on the movie poster itself, but it does not. So, which I'm glad because it has a lot more adventure, on the boats and on the horse and buggies and even the hot air balloons. So, does he make it Around the World in 80 Days? I'm not going to tell you. You're going to have to watch the movie. So, I'll put it this way: it is a struggle. So I think you'll like that movie a lot. 2 more to go. All right, and we're through with the 50s. Okay, this one is really, really sad. I'd seen it before, but I hadn't watched it in years. And it's this one, The Bridge on the River Kwai, starring William Holden, Jack Hawkins, and Alec Guinness. For those of you that don't know what it is, haven't read the book or seen the movie, it takes place in Burma, or near Burma-Thailand border. And that's when they were controlled by the Japanese. Well, these are British prisoners of war held by the Japanese. And the Japanese Empire forces these prisoners of war to build this bridge across the River Kwai in the most harshest conditions. I mean, without giving plot points away, at the very beginning of the movie, during the opening credits, you see a lot of makeshift graves with crosses on them. So some men have already died a very torturous death. Well, during the building, Alec Guinness's character decides, you know what? We're going to do it, and we're going to build it right because it's not for the Japanese. We're going to show them how British engineering is superior to everybody else. But unfortunately, his character gets lost because now he's not just showing British ingenuity, he's helping the Japanese. It's almost like he's a participant now. And even though some of the guys have had dying and they've been tortured, William Holden, the character, escapes, but then he comes back, and his job is to stop the building, aka destroy the bridge. And there's a lot of back and forth going on, and yeah, you really see the horrors of war. You do see some torture, but the most of the part is the bridge. Are they going to get the bridge fixed in time? I mean, because the Japanese Empire have already given them a time limit. It's an impossible time limit, but they know there's going to be repercussions if they don't build it on time. So you can imagine what kind of repercussions a prisoner of war would have to deal with. Very good movie, though. It is edge of your seat, especially the last 30 minutes. It's all good, but the last 30 minutes, I mean, you're like, oh no, is this going to happen? Are they really going to do it this time? So, yeah, Gary, I know that theme song they had in there. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, I don't want to do it on the air because I can't do it that well. I don't whistle very well. But yeah, when I heard that, I'm like, okay, now I know where that came from. So that's one of the few, I guess you could say, nice points in the movie, But thumbs up. Bridge on the River Kwai is good if you can get past, knowing these men are being tortured, and There's also a conflict of interest between some of the soldiers and generals. So very, very good. Well, we've got one more. I said there was two more, but I haven't watched the one from 1959 yet. I'm only up to 1958. And once again, hope I don't make enemies here, I did not like the Best Picture of 1958. Again, not because of the actors or the director or even the costumes, because it takes place in the 1900s England. And this is 1959 when it was made. So they did a great job. The storyline, I didn't like. Well, let me just show you what that is. And again, don't hate. Just my opinion. The movie was called Gigi, and it was the number one. It was the Best Picture of 1958. Now, they did a great job. I'm not going to take it away from them. The problem I had with the movie, and not because it's a musical, this is a musical, and it is kind of lighthearted, but what they did with Leslie Caron's character, who is Gigi, she is growing up in a very strict household, her grandmother's household, and I mean, under the most rigid rules. I mean, and I don't mean rules like you have a curfew or whatever, say thank you, please. I mean, well, I'm probably going to demonstrate this wrong, but in other words, when you go drink your glass, you hold it up like this and you swirl it just a little bit. And then you slowly take the drink like this. And then you just slowly put your cup back on the saucer and you gently put it down. I'm like, that's just one of many. And then she has an aunt that does the same thing. I'm like, that girl has no life. I mean, who does that? And they were trying to make her the, quote, proper lady. Of course, she falls in love with someone that they don't agree with. And they try to break them up. They try to split them up. And I was like, you know what? Let the girl alone. But I'm not a fan of musicals anyway. I mean, I like musicals. I like some musicals. The songs in there were good, but I just didn't like the plot point. So maybe you've seen Gigi. If you have and you like it, I'm sorry. But again, I'm not questioning the Academy. They gave it Best Picture of 1958 for a reason, but it's a movie I don't want to watch anymore. So those are my movie reviews. Again, I haven't finished the 50s yet. Let's see where I'm at. I'm looking at my list now. The next movie I'm going to watch won the Best Picture of 1959. I have seen it, but I haven't seen it in a number of years, so it'll be kind of new. Maybe you've heard of it. It's called Ben-Hur, starring Charlton Heston. And I heard that's a very, very long movie as well. So that's hopefully whenever I do these movie reviews again, have a long list. I'll have Ben-Hur first. But now I have seen the movie, but it's been a very, very long time. So I hope somebody else has seen that and likes it. All I remember about the movie right now, there was a huge chariot race in the movie somewhere. Again, it's been decades now seeing that movies, but it won Best Picture of 1959. That's the movie I'm going to watch next. Let me give you a sneak preview. I'm not going to mention them, all of them, but every movie that I mentioned won Best Picture in the 1960s. So let me know if you've heard of these movies. Okay, I told you Ben-Hur was 59. And I'm going to watch these movies in order too as the weeks go on. 1960, The Apartment. 1961, West Side Story. Lawrence of Arabia. 1963, Tom Jones. 1964, My Fair Lady. 1965, The Sound of Music. 1966, A Man for All Seasons. 1967, In the Heat of the Night. 1968, Oliver. 1969, Midnight Cowboy. So those were all Best Pictures in the 60s, and those are in my queue right now. So hopefully I'll have some reviews for you next week, or whenever I do this again. Oh, well, that's going to be the show myself. We're ending a little early tonight. And again, my apologies to my audience, especially my newcomers. They're expecting a guest tonight. Now, this does happen ever so often. Sometimes something happens. A guest can't make it, technical difficulties, whatever. So, and those of you that were tuning in tonight to see my guest tonight, I'll work with this person's agent, and we will see if we can get that person rescheduled. So, again, no file. So, That's why I always come prepared. A good host always comes prepared in case the guest can't show up. So always have a topic to talk about. So normally, those of you that are watching for the first time, I will have a guest, and I interview a guest about their hobby, their profession, a how-to segment, something that they're interested in, a musical segment. You can watch my previous episodes. If you go to the channel, click the videos tab, and you'll see the past, well, now 71 episodes I've done, and pick one that speaks to you. Every episode is labeled what the subject is. And so if you like an episode, make sure you hit the like button. And if you have any questions for the guest, I don't care how many weeks, months, years it's been, put a comment in the video and I'll make sure that guest sees that and we can answer your question as soon as possible. So again, welcome to the Van Buren Variety Show, my newcomers. For those of you that have tuned in, thank you so much for sticking with me, and I hope to have a lot more interesting topics, interesting guests. It's all right here on the Variety Show, so make sure you hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And again, subscribe, and like. And just as a reminder for those that are new, Tuesday evenings, 7 o'clock Central Time, 8 o'clock Eastern is when we have the live broadcast here. And so hopefully you'll tune in for that. That will give you're in the live chat. You can ask questions to the guest that's on live, and you can get an answer right then. So for now, that's all from me. I hope you enjoyed my movie reviews. I hope you all didn't fall asleep, but I've enjoyed watching the Academy Award Best Picture movies, and it's been fun. It's almost like watching a brand new movie, even though it's 50, 60 years old. So that's all for me tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Again, I appreciate you all sticking with me, and I will be back next week, and I hope you have a great night. Good night.